All right, shalom, shalom. This is Harwan by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. Before I begin, I want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Harakah Kodash, Ma'amaf. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim, and Nagwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. It's going to be a quick Lions Den prophecy news update. All right, and this one is centered around a interview that the Iranian foreign minister just had, speaking about the ground invasion that may come from the U.S. Now you hear Trump saying they're not going to do a ground invasion. Well, the U.S. troops may not do the ground invasion, but they have allies in that region called the Kurds. And this is all prophetic to show you what stage of World War III or stage of the prophecies we're in. We're at the stage of a regional war, Armageddon, all right, which could also climax to a full-scale world war. All right, so I'm gonna try to breeze through this quickly before camp today. It says Iran's foreign minister, Iran not speaking to the U.S. So let's play it.
Minister about whether his country is prepared for a possible ground invasion from American troops. Watch this. President Trump has not ruled out boots on the ground in Iran. Are you afraid of a U.S. invasion in your country?
No, we are waiting for them.
You are waiting for the U.S. military to invade the ground troops?
Yes, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
See, that would be a big disaster for the U.S. because one, you have these. Where is it at? Let me pull this up. GCC countries. It's called the Gulf Cooperation Council, with the Gulf Cooperation Council GCC countries, and let me use this right here if I can. And they consist of, here you go, it says the Gulf Cooperation Council, and these are the countries that, or states, countries, whatever, that territories that Iran is striking because they're U.S. They have influence of the U.S. All right, all these military bases. Let me get the scripture lined up. There you go. This is Joel 2:20. It says, "But I will remove far off from you the northern army." All right, so the U.S. Army is basically meddling in those foreign countries in their affairs, man. All right, they have bases all over the world, and it says here. Matter of fact, let me get a map real quick. Let me see. GCC countries, U.S. bases. Map. All right, what's this? Damn, hope I can pull these up real quick. One moment. All right, so you can see here, these are all the bases. Right? Let me go to this one. Get one more. So you can have an example. Damn. All right, here you go. One bad. 1 second. This thing taking forever. All right, so yeah, basically, the U.S. has all its bases all around Iran and around Russia, clearly showing their intent to go into Iran. All right, pull it up on here. Sheesh, can't see. This is too. Back that one up. I don't know if you can see this one. The U.S. has more troops in Kuwait. In Kuwait, that's that land that's barren and desolate. All right, with the Kuwait, what was it, Operation Baghdad? You know, when they took Iraq and they left it in shambles. The U.S. has more troops in Kuwait than in any other Middle Eastern country. A legacy of the Gulf Wars. All right, see, that's all prophecy. All this around the Iranian borders, and this is where Iran been striking. Hit by Iran is the red, not targeted in the blue. So Iran struck here, Oman, the UAE, Bahrain. Bahrain is important because they take Bahrain. Once Iran takes Bahrain, what you gonna hear about Bahrain? Because Bahrain is weak compared to Iran. If they take Bahrain, that's gonna give them a direct passage into Saudi Arabia to go to war, ground war with Saudi Arabia. All right. Um, so they're gonna eventually have ground troops. All right. Once they take Bahrain, Saudi Arabia is going to be forced to tell the U.S. to send in ground troops or Kurds, Kurdish troops to defend Saudi Arabia. All right, we may hear about that soon. You got Kuwait was attacked, the base out there. You got all these areas over here in Syria. All right, so basically all those U.S. interests over here in the Middle East. It says here, Joel 2:20, but I will remove far off from you the northern army, the U.S. Army, and will drive him right, driven by what his desires, with it enlarge their desires as hell. All right, so they've been driven into the land barren and desolate over there in Kuwait, right, Iraq, with his face towards the East Sea, so towards the Caspian Sea or the Black Sea, basically towards Iran. All right, let me see if I can get this pulled up. 1 second. All right, with his face, what is it? With his face towards the East Sea, this basically towards um Iran. All right, this one's better. I need a better one. Trying to get a better picture. Thought I had one. Oh well, it's all good. Well, y'all know the scripture already anyway. So most of the people that watch this video, um, but yeah, with his face towards the East Sea and the Caspian Sea. All right, they got it kind of moved to the left over here, but it would be over here, and the hinder part towards the Red Sea. So basically, they're set up all through here. This is a horrible map. Let me see. All right, so you got Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and the U.S. is all up in here, these areas, and they're facing towards Iran. All right, let me see if I can get. All right, let's see. No, dang, these maps is horrible lately. So yeah, I can't find no good map right now for some reason, but it's all good. So anyway, hinder part towards the Red Sea, basically aiming towards Iran. All right, saying that's where their desire to go into was towards Iran, right, to take Iran. It's all prophecy. This was the U.S. bases and allies and Kurds. Look at that. According to prophecy, man. It says, and I will drive him into a land barren and desolate, basically the deserts, with his face towards the east sea and his hinder part towards the utmost seas, based toward the Red Sea and what they would call the Black Sea. The Caspian Sea used to be the same thing. All right. And his stank shall come up. Basically, gonna get destroyed over there. All right. They said they're sending 100,000 troops. Basically, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of them gonna get unalived when they go over there. And his ill savor shall come up because he have done great things. Because they're going over there, they're gonna get their asses handed to them. All right. When they say they stink, shall come up, meaning they're gonna be a lot of dead bodies, dead soldiers, giving their life for um, a prideful, wicked cause. So now they're saying they're prepared and they're not worried about a ground invasion from the U.S. because this right here, you have a nation called the Kurds. All right, I'm gonna show you. These are the Kurds, and they're basically a group of Arabs that live all throughout Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. All right, and they were promised their own sovereign country before, and they never got it from America and its allies. So they're still out there, and they can be used as troops to go into Iran, you know, or destabilize Syria as they've done. So now, where are the Kurds? And the crazy thing is, this is all along. Where is it at? This is their area right here, the Kurds, Kurdish inhabited area. Now, this is important because you keep hearing about the Kurds and ground troops, ground war, right? That's why the scriptures say he's going to bring them down to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, meaning Yahweh's judgment. And he gathered them to a place in the Hebrew tongue called Armageddon or Armageddon, the gathering or mountain of troops. This is where all the troops going to meet up at. Ground war, missile attacks, all of that. This whole area is about to be a hotbed of war with Iran fighting the U.S. on two fronts, Iraq and in Bahrain, which would be Saudi Arabia, going into Saudi Arabia. All right, it'll be a Shia Muslims versus the Sunni Muslims. Okay, so the U.S. is going to exploit that, and Iran is backed by Russia and China. All right, so this is the next phase of the war, and people are wondering like, why is it Iran attacking these nations over there? Well, they playing chess. Um, they're not attacking U.S. soil, so they're attacking the U.S. interests over there, called the GCC countries. And those countries that are supporting the U.S. and Israel because of their, um, they just want money. Honestly, they just want the money. They're using the U.S. It's like Same way ISIS did and all them other groups, militias. Um, they see the U.S. in need, so they if they give the Kurds funding, then after the war, the Kurds will be financially set and with technology and such. All right, but this is all happening around where the River Euphrates. All right, and it's known. That's why when I heard the Kurds might be sent in there, I did a lesson years ago speaking about the Kurds um, wanting to go to war with Turkey because they've been choking off the water in the Euphrates River, causing a drought, causing the land to dry up, according to scripture. And Iran's been choking off the water as well. And there's a war going on across the water that they're not speaking about. So I'm gonna read this to you real quick, and then we'll go back to the video real fast. All right, a lot to unpack real quick. It says Kurdish forces say they are ready to enter Iran, threatening a new front in the Middle Eastern war. Ground troops. Look at your ground troops right there. U.S. like, we're not going to send in American troops. Yeah, they're going to send in these people. In short, a coalition of Iranian Kurdish groups, right? Because they're in Iran, but I think a lot of them are Shia too. I'm not sure. Um, but they're paid up. You know, they hired actors. You know, fighters. So the coalition of Iranian Kurdish groups who oppose the regime say they are preparing to enter the war and have amassed thousands of fighters near the border with Iraq. See, that's going to be a that's going to be a front for their war. It's going to be in Iraq and then on the borders of Saudi Arabia. The Kurds are a large ethnic minority group that has long been seeking greater autonomy and self-governance. They want their own land and sovereignty. Experts believe Kurdish ground forces alone are not enough to overthrow the Iranian regime, saying it would be a suicide mission without ground support from the United States. But they're going to wind up having to give ground support. All right. Kurdish opposition fighters are preparing an imminent ground operation to enter Iran, and but they're being supplied by the CIA allegedly, threatening to open a new front in the escalating war, the ground war. A new front. That's that um, area over there in the Euphrates. Two senior sources within a new coalition of basically saying, "Yo, this is all according to prophecy." The Kurds are an ethnic group stretching across Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran, who have long called for safeguarding their rights, either by establishing their own state or through um, decentralization of existing states to grant them autonomy. All right, so basically, they want to be a player in the game. So now let's go ahead and run through these real quick. It says the Kurds are a stateless, they don't have a state, Iranic ethnic group, basically Shiites, I think, of 30 to 45 million people, predominantly inhabiting a mountainous region spanning 40 to 45 million across Turkey, Iran, Syria, and Iraq. They are the world's largest ethnic group without a sovereign state, with a historic or persecution, history of persecution, and a long-standing struggle for autonomy. Most are Sunni Muslims. Okay, there you go. So most of them are Sunni Muslims, and they're using that to go against the Shia Muslims, known for a culture and language distinct from their neighbors. right? So they're using it. So this is a holy war and a political war, or geopolitical. All right. So now let's go to here. I'll show you this. Where's my map of the map of the Middle East. There you go. So with that being said, they're saying Syria, Turkey, and Iran, and they're talking about ground troops all up in here. But you can only have ground troops if this water is dried up. Now let's see something. It says the Euphrates River is experiencing severe rapid depletion. See, according to prophecy, with some sections drying up due to intense droughts, climate change, and upstream damming in Turkey and Iran. So they're blocking the water, causing it to dry up, making it a ground for war, for the Kurds to come across. That's what I heard like 10 years ago. If the ground dries up, it'd be a good means for the Kurds to make their way as ground troops. And I was like, who the heck are the Kurds? And this was years ago. Experts warn it could completely dry up by 2040, way faster than that. Already reaching record lows, impacting water security, um, agriculture, and livelihoods for millions in Iraq and Syria. All right, so it's drying up according to prophecy. Let's go here. The Euphrates River in Syria currently serves as a tense, active front line. Come on, man. It's a front line dividing Russian backed Syrian government forces on the west from US backed Kurdish Syrian democratic forces on the east. Ongoing clashes, including intermittent skirmishes. So they've been having skirmishes, man, fighting in the area. And drone attacks in late 2025 indicate a risk of wider conflict with both sides, along with Iranian backed militias, competing for control over resources and territory in the Deir ez Zor region. So, all right, so they're fighting for control over the Euphrates and over that region. All up in here, they've been going back and forth. And now they're going to be fighting right here, all through here, to protect Saudi Arabia, which is a U.S. interest with oil. All right. Destabilizing this area. Let me go here, my bad. So now they said they've been having skirmishes in the Deir ez Zor region. So let's see what that is. Deir ez Zor is the largest city in Syria and and the seventh largest in the country, located on the banks of the Euphrates River. All right, so they want control over that area, fighting for it. Russia and interest and U.S. interests. As of March 2026, Deir ez Zor, Syria, remains a critical and volatile front line in the regional conflict involving Iran, because it's a regional conflict. Armageddon is going to break out into a world war, right? So once you understand Ezekiel 38, it's a regional conflict that expands to a world war. When they say let's go up to the borders of the land of unwalled villages, I mean they're going to go up to the U.S. to their borders. Its proxies, Israel and the U.S. Iran-backed militias hold significant influence west of the Euphrates. All right, over there in Syria and such, and while the area experiences ongoing intense fighting for control over resources and strategic territory involving ISIS and local factions and foreign powers. So they're fighting right now. Intense fighting for control over the Euphrates. That's why scripture said that even then shall evils grow upon the earth. So these things are happening. Diez Ez Zor, basically over there in northern Euphrates, is facing a severe and multifaceted environmental and agricultural collapse driven by the drying of the Euphrates River, climate change, and war damaged infrastructure. The Euphrates has receded to critical lows, leaving irrigation canals dry, crippling um, agriculture and triggering a water crisis. All right, that's what I heard about years ago, the water crisis that was happening to the Kurds. All right. Um, let's see something. All right. So let me see one more. Go to this. Show y'all this one. All right. So now, see the River Euphrates. All right. So all of those countries, man. Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. They're all being paid off financially by the U.S. and they're going to need protection from the U.S. All right, which is a further reason for the U.S. to be drawn into American ground troops. All right, I'm just seeing if I got any more to show y'all on here. Hold on. So these are the Iranian strikes, which I might have to keep this one for another lesson later. Right, and the River Euphrates goes right through there, right through Iraq. So, as a matter of fact, let me read the scripture. This is Armageddon, basically, man. Armageddon in the Hebrew is basically gathering or mountain of troops. This is where the troops are going to gather for war. And the Lord said their stank shall come up. And ultimately, they're gathering to go to war against Yahushua. All right. Revelation 16 and 12. And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates. So we're in that time. All right. I'm sure a picture in the background. Euphrates. There you go. This one better. All right, so all this area is drying up for war. And it says, uh, sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. The kings of the east, the people talking about who? Iran, Russia, and its allies. The kings of the east, which would be China, North Korea, all these, you know, the ones, the ones that are backing Iran against the West. All right, so the kings of the east, the way for the kings of the east is being prepared. That's why Iran is talking greasy. They're saying they're waiting for that grounding truth. They've been getting ready for 20 years. Mm, mm. There you go, man. So I'm gonna end this one, man. Hope this is edifying. Let me see some. I'm gonna say Shalom. Hopefully I didn't lose my sound. I go back and listen to it. All right. So yeah, prophecy is happening. Great river Euphrates is drying up. There's a war back and forth over that territory, and it's right at the door. I'm saying Shalom.